I have the great honor to introduce Lily. Lily Tang Williams was a Chinese lawyer and law assistant professor who became an American businesswoman and liberty activist. Born to working class parents in China's western Sichuan province just before the Cultural Revolution, Lily witnessed Chairman Mao's takeover and what his regime inflicted on the people of China. She has become a U.S. citizen, and for the first time in her life, she voted in 2000 in an American election. In 2014, she ran for Colorado State House District 44, and in 2016, she was the candidate for U.S. Senate in Colorado. Today, she continues to manage her own business and relishes the freedom, independence, and prosperity she found in America. She loves her new country and travels frequently throughout the states to share the story of her American dream, defending free speech and free enterprise and promoting civil and economic liberties. She enjoys educating people about the reality of communism, socialism, China's legal system and culture, women's issues, and educational reform. And everyone, could you please put your hands together and welcome warmly Lily Tang Williams.
Well, thank you. I hope you were not shocked by what I did earlier. But it was common when I was growing up as a girl during Mao's regime. My husband, back there, my new life guy, controlling lighting right now, he and I moved to New Hampshire, November of 2019. What draws me here is more freedom. Just like what drew me to America was American dream, was land of the free and home of the brave. Of course, you know what happened 2020, so before we even opened all the boxes, we were in lockdown. And that's when I started to really feel terrified and scared, because what I saw before in China were happening in front of my eyes. And I could not sleep. I could not sleep well. Imagine somebody who just having PTSD once in a while, right? It's like, what is going on? My memory is flashing in my head, where my fellow citizens were asleep, were afraid, and were confused. So even though I have been speaking for past 5 years to wake up Americans, educate the youth, but I feel I need to do more, because I don't want America to become like China. So how many people have followed me online and seen my posts and speeches before? Okay, about 1/4. So we were trying to play my video 2 minutes, but this one does not have access to internet. So you can all find me later. You can watch plenty of me on the YouTube. So my tonight's subject is my 2 cultural revolutions. The ones I just demonstrate to you, Mao's great proletarian cultural revolution. If you have never been to China, this is a Chinese map. Mandarin people like me, and called the Han people. Han Dynasty was one of the biggest dynasties throughout China history, so people proudly call themselves the Chinese from the dynasty Han people. About 93-94% of Han Chinese throughout China, mostly concentrated on east side. But when you talk about today, hot topic, cultural genocide, you talk about Northwest China here, Uyghurs, Muslims, and Tibetans here, Buddhists, and all those supposed to be China's autonomous regions, but they're not autonomous. I mean, just like Hong Kong, one country, 2 systems, totally failed. They're not autonomous, and the CCP is just a one-party dictatorship and very powerful, and they basically control the entire People's Republic of China since 1949. The party was founded in 1921, and they founded Xinhua News Agency, a private media company, now today the largest propaganda machine for the party to infiltrate in all Western democracy countries. Remember, Xinhua News Agency was a private media company when CCP founded in 1921, then took over China 1949. So this is China map, and I was born in Sichuan, Chengdu. So next to Tibet, I'm the mountain girl, not beach girl. And I always love mountains. I was born into Chengdu, valley of Sichuan, surrounded by, if you go west, big mountains, mountain Everest in Tibet. We couldn't see Tibetans actually walk around in Chengdu that time. They would come sometimes to, sell their stuff. And then when I went to law school, that's in Shanghai. So it's a 3 days very slow train ride on hard seat. It's like doing this, right, the whole trip. Hey, but I was 17. That's okay. We're used to that. Today they have a fast train now, so you can go there maybe in 1 day. My mom, dad, and my aunt were in this portrait. Communism means no private property, no private industries. Government only the studio for you to take pictures, and you stand in line. Everything requires a line to wait for your food, for doctors and nurses, and for family picture taking. And my dad is a tough guy. If you don't know about Sichuan people, they're not very tall. Like for my generation, I'm average height. I'm not short, even though I'm only 5'1", petite woman, right? And but the Sichuan people have famous saying, like first to rebel and last to submit. So imagine, what many of them like me, right? Well, they have to wake up first before they fight and know what the cost they're gonna fight. And that's me, elementary school, a little girl here during the Mao's Cultural Revolution, and I of course school was shut down, but I'm not my uncle generation. They had to go to countryside. Remember, down to the country and down to the mountain campaign by Mao after Mao finished with Red Guard. So I got actually chance to go to school after peak of Cultural Revolution was over and school reopened. So that's all the little kids and the girls were wearing red scarf as Mao's young pioneer. I did not get a chance to wear one because they pulled me back because I was bragging to my girlfriend. I would be the first one to wear red scarf. And she reported on me. She said, she is too confident. And my teacher said, well, our collective society, you need to be like everybody else. Individual expression confidence is not allowed. So I'm supposed to apologize. I'm sorry, I'm too confident. At the age of 7. So I was not happy taking that picture. I did not have a red scarf. I was a red child, right? So if you don't know Mao's Cultural Revolution, because I'm a witness, I want to tell you about it. I summarize all those 12 features and tactics by myself, without consulting with any intellectuals in this country, okay? They talk about China all they want. They cannot talk to me about all those feature tactics because I went through that. I lived under it. I survived it. I would like to debate the Marxist professors about this if I have a forum together by somebody. So Mao's Cultural Revolution, 1966 to 1976. For what? He started this because he lost power within Communist Party member. You know why? Because his economic policy caused the mass famine. I even did not know why people died of starvation, I was told. All my life, they told me in China, 3 years natural disasters, flooding, drought, and people died. They were so hungry. Everybody was hungry. That's why I was told by my neighbors, by my teachers, my parents. Nobody knew the truth. And Mao, because of that, so Liu Shaoqi became the new president of China. And Mao was not happy. He wanted to regain his absolute power within the party, be the number one. So he started Mao anyway, if you look at Mao's history since 1949, he started campaign every 2 or 3 years. It was land reform, killed 2 million landlord owners. Then later was, later 100 flowers bloom, and later international speak. Then send them to educational camp. Then to 3 anti, 5 anti. It's like non-stop political campaigner. Then he started cultural revolution, calling for destroy the four old culture, ideas, habits, and custom. So the clothes I'm wearing today, anything to do with traditional Chinese old dresses and jackets and silk and beautiful, are part of old, not PC for you to wear it. Then he put the people under oppressor versus oppressed. Use a critical class theory. Sounds familiar to you? Oppressors, you have 5 black families, black classes, called landlords, rich farmers, county revolutionaries, bad influencers, and the rightists. Who defined rightists, bad influencers, county revolutionaries? Mao. His propaganda machines. So, and me, a red child from red class, poor, lower middle, peasants, class peasants, workers, revolutionary soldiers, cadres, and basically murderers, heroes. Because you know why? My mom and dad were illiterate, working class, poor. But still, we live in the cities. 70% of the people live in the countryside. They were even more poor than us. We were living on food rationing coupons. I was a hungry child all the time. Just think about the peasants in the countryside. I remember if I had a birthday, have one boiled egg was a big happy day, happy birthday. And 2.8 pounds of proteins, eggs and meat, altogether for family of 5 per month. But hey, I should be grateful. I'm a rich child. Thank you to my mom. That's what you're supposed to say. Then he uses almost just religious indoctrination of youth called a rape guard. Close down schools so the young people, urban youth, could do political struggles full time. Sounds familiar, 2020? Who is on the street 24/7 doing revolution full time? Top-down statues, big posters on the wall, writing by students, and the riots, looting, violence, law enforcement standing down, political correct military. I did not see any policemen during the riots, during the cultural revolution. Just imagine I was 4 or 5 years old. My childhood memory started with a red guard inside of military trucks saying, "Cheer my Mao songs, hold the cheer my Mao little red books," with a black class enemies standing down like this, very pale, wear their name with a revisionist, counter-revolution titles on it, and going to execution site to get shot. After struggle sessions. So struggle sessions become popular words in the last 2 years because, we have similar struggle sessions in America now. You apologize. So those people apologize for their black families, black past, and self-criticized, publicly shamed, and still some of them were being eliminated because they are people's enemies. And I saw one guy in my grandma's water well 20 feet deep. naked. I had no idea who he was. I went there, saw it, I ran away, go hiding. I was a little girl, I was scared, like, oh, that's so scary, that's our water. That's our water supply for the entire courtyard people and the nearby neighborhood. I did not want to talk about it. I did not want to ask questions. I just want to hide their memory. I was told years later by my uncle, a black class, committed suicide. Just those two memories alone, for me, I had to take years come to this country and dig into my childhood memories to think about them, to question them, because I was never, exposed to truth. I had no idea. I just don't want to talk about it. I just, So that's what the Mao did. And I did not see any cops. You can be tortured on the street by red guards, even to death. Nobody was there to stop them. So mobs control the street. And the military is controlled by the party. And the military commission chairman is the most powerful position today, even in China. It's Xi Jinping. President, military commission, and the party secretary. 3 positions in one. Dictatorship, right? No, nobody is ever elected in China. Everybody is appointed as leaders. That's why they don't care about people. Anybody has any kind of fantasy about China, you are dreaming. It's one-party dictatorship. Nobody is elected by people. Changing school names, street names, burn books, relics, temples and churches, and demonize religion. Sounds familiar? All religions were cult religions per Mao. Mao supposed to be your God. That's why we will hold the little red books. I did not know he was supposed to be a human being. I thought that he was like God. If you hold a little red book, chanting all the time for many years, every day. I never questioned if he was God or not. And the struggle sessions I already mentioned to you, and guilty at birth, by relationship, by association, by your past words and deeds, lose job if you don't comply. So basically, if you were born black class, you're guilty. You can never join Mao's organizations like Young Pioneer or Red Guard, because they were supposed to be reserved only for certain class people called the Flying Red. Some other features, families, neighbors turn on each other, report on each other, like my girlfriend reported me to my teacher, so I could not wear my red scarf. I never trusted anybody after that. Until I left China, I was almost 24 years old. I could not trust anybody because I learned my lesson at 7 years old. And change social norms, redefine terms, and promote a genderless society, censor words, create a confusion and social chaos. Dating banned, love banned, romantic love was banned subject. Husband, wife were capitalist terms, names, because they represent nuclear families. So my mom and dad call each other my female comrade, my male comrade, or my lover. Lover, think about it. It's more important than husband and wife because you can have many lovers. That's what the Chinese are sometimes kidding about communism. We share properties. We share all women too. So everything is public, owned. There's no nuclear families. I mean, Marx is always trying to destroy nuclear families. Of course, press, media, all controlled by the party, used by propaganda daily, and songs, books, music, art, and, comedies all have to be politically correct. If you crack not a politically correct joke, you can get into trouble. Talk about today, right? Sounds familiar? I just remember we could not smile and laugh when timing is not right. You can get criticized. What time to smile, to laugh, and what time to cry. You also could not cry. People think that you're crazy, you have mental health issues, why are you crying? When the timing is not right, location is not right. I remember I never cried in China publicly. Oppression, talk about oppression. You're not supposed to show your personal feelings. Everybody look like a robot. Look like a robot. Yes, yes. You say, yes, ma'am. And use techniques of fear, intimidation, and 20 million people died during Mao's Cultural Revolution. This is the President Liu, who later, after Mao became godlike because of his Cultural Revolution. Then he was house arrested. When he died, he was on the floor by himself, like an animal. How many people in the West know about this guy? Even though he was not elected, he was appointed, but he was the president of China. Mao totally eliminated all his political enemies by starting his revolution. I was one of those middle school students, constantly go marching, hold the Karl Marx, Lenin, Mao's, big posters and flags and singing red songs. And you have to wear, certain cloth. You cannot just wear beautiful clothes. Why? Did you see that? We have approved uniforms. White, navy blue, or green. Here, green, ugly girls wear ugly hairstyles. So you cannot have a hair like me today, just passed on like that when I was little. You have to put your hair up. Ponytails, pigtails, unisex boy style, short hair. Because Mao said so. Because you need to look like each other. You're not an individual. Yeah. So you're not an individual. That's why they want you to all look like each other. So if I want to wear some really bright pink color clothes or something, I have to hide it. I have to hide it at home to wear it. Look at the mirror yourself. Kind of smile and giggling, trying to look pretty and sexy. Don't do that in public. You'll get criticized. And we also cannot date. Genderless Society. This is all show, of course. You dress up like PLA, People's Liberation Army, and you will look very, very manly-like. So like boys, like men for girls. I think that's why they don't want to talk about love, because love is so individualized. Love is something you hold dearly to your heart, it's private. And you show feeling for another human being. But they want you to look like just a group. Identity politics is a hallmark of Maoism and communism. Just remember that. Identity politics is the hallmark of Maoism. I saw plenty of identity politics in America. Look at that little girl, that was me in middle school, singing red songs. So the only time we could look pretty is dress up like Chinese minorities I showed you earlier, and have a little lipstick on to look pretty. But we're still singing red songs. Thank you, Chairman Mao, thank you, party. And the minorities were saying beautiful, their native songs. It's a red word, but it's still nice music. I still listen to those music today when I take shower. Just kind of relive my childhood, just without the red words, right? Like all the long live, thank you, stuff like that. They changed the words, remember? Use the same music, but change the words. When I talk about big posters on the wall, in America, it's a spray painting, all the other stuff on the wall, everywhere, on the road, on the street. That's what the chaos looked like during the Mao's Cultural Revolution. Look like that. I don't know how they even get that tall. They use ladders. Then burn statues. Top down statues, then burn them. Those are Buddhist monks. And Catholic nuns were made to come out publicly, denounce Bible, denounce their God. If you don't do that right, you go to labor camps. So before they burn down churches, red guards hold their fist up, say that, hey, criticize yourself, denounce your Bible. They have all kinds of slogans to yell. How sad it is for those nuns to come out, denounce their God, forced by violence. Of course, Bibles were burned. And those Buddhist Tibetan people, like have a little like old vase, look really pretty, like the Buddhist, the old tradition style. Destroy it. For old. Why do you keep it? Are you Catholics or something? And then they get lectured by peasants, by Red Guards. Red Guard, urban youth, total crazy. Because you have to. When you have a revolution like that, 24/7, you're being brainwashed, propagandized. Also, when you totally destroy rule of law, guess who rises to the power? Criminals. Some people have mental issues. They're the worst students sometimes. Like make F and D, so all of a sudden school is shut down. And the most violent, most sick people rise to the top, dominate your street, and torture people and looting people's private property door to doors. That's what you get when society becomes that kind of, chaos. It's like criminals were released, and all of a sudden just dominate street. Now you know why sometimes I feel like I will have PTSD in this country, right? Look. It's just crazy. I remember, even I was not that crazy. Even though I was red child, I was young pioneer, I was red girl. But I just saw those people screaming really loud and just almost like a twisted face. I just thought there was something wrong with them, but I dare not to criticize. I self-censor. I learned how to self-censor so I don't get into trouble. At little kindergarten age, preschool age, long live Chiang Mao, hold a little mouse, read the books, to sing a red song. Class struggle sessions is about forming a public opinion against those people's enemies. Look at this, how big the crowd is. Sometimes I remember I heard their chanting, their noise was so loud in this public square in my grandma's house. And then you see those people, some of them later just go, hey, get into military trucks and with soldiers behind them and go to get executed. I could hear gunshots. And the kids will go back to the execution site, public, to pick up empty bullet shells because we're supposed to collect them. We desperately need to steal so you can collect them and go sell them and get maybe 20 cents or something, Chinese money, you can buy a candy or something. I remember I went to the execution site to pick up empty bullet shells. When Mao died, thank goodness you were saying, right? I was 12 years old. So that's me on the right, the tall girl with a red scarf. When he died, I was just totally shocked and totally lost. How did he die? We're talking about long live Chiang Mao, 10,000 years, another 10,000 years. And this is Mao statue in Chengdu downtown. It's still there today. None of the Mao statues ever come down because China is still controlled by CCP. But this is all commercialized now, very prime, real estate. Look at my little girlfriend, black family. She was excluded from joining the Young Pioneers, joining the Red Guard. So when Mao died, we mourned his death for 30 days. 30 days. And you're supposed to be very sad. No smile. If you smile, you could be counter-revolutionary because Mao died. You need to look very sad. And I was very sad. I also wonder what the hell happened. I was only 12 years old. And for the first time, I started to ask a question in my own head. Who lied to me? Who lied to my whole generation and other, Chinese in the country? So finally, to summarize my journey, to wake up and leave and come to the United country, it's another day's story. I was almost 24 years old. First day in America, Austin, Texas. and happiest day of my life, even though my pocket was very shallow, it's like $100 borrowed, couldn't speak English, and I owe my professor sponsored $1,200 US. That was lots of money to me. And but hey, my luck changed. First day when I arrived in America, I met my husband first night in Austin, Texas. You know, people say that he was sent to me by God. John said that he's just super lucky. He was waiting, 29 years old, single. Had no idea where wife is going to come from someday. And never dated, and then suddenly this girl showed up without speaking English. I guess I look kind of actually pale and sick because I was only 98 pounds. 98 pounds. Yeah. But the rest is history. We are married now for 31 years and 3 beautiful children, you know. I'm very blessed in this country. Very blessed. Here's my second cultural revolution. I'm sure you all can share your opinions. It's at a smaller scale. It's not throughout the whole country, but it's getting like spreading. It's a spreading. I have been warning people for past a few years. Because when I started to go to school, teach people about, especially young kids, about communism, horrors, and evils, they don't know much at all. They don't know history. That's why, according to survey, you can have 65% of, young people who actually don't mind to have a communism, socialism, replace capitalism. Shocking. How can we control the country's future when you have future generations or potential communists? This is harder to say. We should make that both. So you can probably say, blue is what's happening today in America, and red is what I told you about my first cultural revolution. So you can see basically the 12 features I just went through with you, except we're not using critical class theory, we're using critical race theory, and we're using DEI, beautiful words, diversity, equity, and inclusion, emotional learning, emotional responsiveness learning, and the 1619 Project, America's systemic racist country. You can tell me, they constantly change word, constantly move the goalpost. But to me, it's all identity politics. So it's basically the same thing. And the cancel culture is just out of control right now. If we don't stand up to it, I'm really afraid this country will become the country I left. If they can cancel a sitting president, an elected congresswoman from Georgia, and the largest YouTuber, podcaster in the world, who else they cannot cancel? Who else they cannot silence? And you're going to lose your job, lose your career by your past words, past deeds, past behaviors? Wonder why? I could not sleep. My girlfriend and I both survived cultural revolution. We talk to each other, often. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? They said, yes, American cultural revolution. I said, I know. I saw the signs on the wall. I heard all the terms. But our people don't know. America is on fire, it's burning, and lots of people don't know. They keep their head down, they're silent, they're quiet, because they're afraid to be called racist. Especially you white people. I'm married to one. Yeah, it's like our children are supposed to be half racist. Yeah. And you can see all those tricks, what happened is you can check every box when I go through that 12 features with you. Especially, they're so busy changing names of schools, rename cities, rename sports teams where people actually have so much other issues they're worried about. And When you talk about quasi-religious indoctrination of youth, regard. And today, they're called social justice warriors, right? Lots of young people. I don't know how they think about that name, the title. I like to debate one. I like to go to school to say, I feel sorry for you. Because you remind me of me. I was one of you. Except I was having a different title called the Red Guard. So same thing. Let's get rid of our racist history. Founding fathers are racist. Keep their statues down, burn them, and change, names and defund the police. Walk military. How scary is that? Once you lose independent military who swear to protect citizens' rights, defend U.S. Constitution, our country is gone. That's why I'm still trying to encourage good people, please stay in the military, stay in the police. Don't give up yet. Because otherwise they'll be totally controlled by another side. To do harm to fellow citizens who totally brainwashed. Just like the Tiananmen Square soldiers. Those kids are anti-counter-revolutionary. Go kill them. Crush them. They're bad. And how many people here, I don't know, went through DEI training in your corporations? DEI training, you are white, you are male, you should go apologize. You have a bias. Like, no, I'm raised to believe all men are created equal. I'm not racist. Well, you are because you don't know it. You have implicit bias. You're hidden racist. You need to come out. Public belongs to yourself. Otherwise, silence is violence. You need to say something. All the big corporations, I don't know if they're doing that. I mean, like, they can hire a consultant to come to train you with $35,000 on lecture a day. And how do you feel after that? I mean, I really, truly believe most people don't like it. I mean, especially if you are Democrat, liberal, right? I mean, you have been really, actually part of this movement. And now they're trying to make you to apologize and cancel you. Of course, family turn on each other, neighbors turn on each other. You see enough reporting. If you are partying during a pandemic, someone's going to call cops on you, show up. And if you don't wear a mask, and somebody is going to come after you, and, you need enemies to do cultural revolution. Who are your real enemy? Who are our enemy next? Oh, next pandemic's coming. Do you know that? Then who are going to be our enemies we're supposed to fight? Redefine social norms, promote unisex, genderless society. I respect people's decision when it comes to social freedom. If you want to become a gay, if you want to change your gender after you become adult, that's fine. I respect. You pay for it. Leave me alone, I leave you alone. But use school to indoctrinate our children at the age of 13. You can make decisions, change sex without parental consent. That's insane. That's child abuse. How 13-year-old? My son told me, Mom, I thought I was dragging when I was 13. And you can let the kids make their lifetime decisions. And you have to pay for it. Insurance have to pay for it. And of course, last two, you are talking about, press, media, especially social media, big tech, censor dissident voices. They are allowing Chinese Communist Party official accounts on Twitter, on lots of platforms, but not other conservative libertarian voices. And most people still don't know what's going on because they don't get their news from the right channel. And they still trust all the narratives, the media, talking points, and PC stuff. I was watching ABC 2020 every night for a while. Finally, I turned it off because they scare me too. Every day, was COVID. How many people died, this or that. I mean, after watching all that, I said, you know what? It made me feel bad. It made me feel like, what's coming up? Should I worry about my family? I always had a question in my head because I saw the signs. I also knew what's going on inside of China before we even had a lockdown. I followed China's COVID, Wuhan virus, and citizens got locked up, and journalists went to jail. I just never expected the similar hardcore authoritarian lockdown will happen in my country, in America. I never expected that. Otherwise, I could probably do a lot more things before that happened, but I did not. Because I thought we are a different country, we're different people. This will never happen in America. Yes, it did. It happened all over the world in Western democracy countries, so-called free world. Look at this. When I tell you about 5 red, 5 black, then you see here, all the categories. Marginalized, dominant. This is whistleblowers from one of the federal agency service companies to train people. And I was warned we have to go through pretty quick. So you know what happened? Take a knee, apologize. If you individually want to apologize for your sins, please do so. But not as collective society, and don't make me to do it. Right? Hey, if you individually want to go apologize to somebody or to write social media posts, go ahead. Volunteer to do it. But except this culture, this pressure, this stressful situation, is you feel like you have to. You have to. Otherwise, you might lose your job and career. Somebody might call you racist. I saw our politicians even did that, right? I mean, you saw that. I saw that was very bizarre. Very bizarre. It's like, what's going on? It's just, I cannot comprehend. And look at this picture. When I saw that, I said, red guards are back. Red guards are back. See, silence the violence. Say something. Except this time it's not class, it's race, it's skin color, racism, every day in your life, every day in your faith. Everything is about race. Even liberals don't like it. I watched Bill Maher. He really hates it. He said, can we be left alone? Just crack some jokes. When I saw this, months and months, it just really made me so worried. So worried. It's called peaceful protest. Mostly peaceful protests. And then later, but those people are not insurrectionists. They actually, change names, definitions. Looting is justified now. You don't have to call cops. Here's a look like a red guard girl. Right. Here's the most scary. Austin, Texas, where I graduated from graduate school. Marching, Antifa people, young people cover their face, but they're communists. They are calling for communist revolution here. NEA, largest teachers union, want to teach critical race theory into 14,000 schools. So when your teachers tell you, oh, we're not doing that, teachers union locally, we're not doing that, just look at their website. Do it. They're pushing for it. And this is just so funny. Our little kids are so depressed because they're blamed. You're 8 years old. You're blamed, called racist. You're responsible for slavery, Holocaust, and all that, and colonization of Africa. Poor kids. This is funny and sad at the same time. So call for action. If you see the similarities, what are you going to do about it? It's time to speak up, to get educated. I'm sure you all are very educated who are here. And we have to push back. We have to get organized. Community organizing. Start your own group or join a group. Like this group here, right? And effectively organize. And if you don't want to run for office, get somebody like me. Please, I'm a crazy Chinese woman. I'm not being afraid to call a racist. So here's my campaign logo. I fear the country I love is becoming like the country I left. Lady for Congress, keeping the American dream alive. Lady Tang Williams.com. And thank you. I appreciate your time. And here's more contact information if you need to reach out to me. And I will appreciate you tell me, hey, Lily, I heard you in a Liberty Forum. Here's my $100. Thank you for having me. So now, fight for liberty. You know we have to stop this cultural revolution in America. Yeah. Any questions? No PC here. No PC, right?
Certainly not. Any questions for Lily? Yeah, we have a couple up there. I can't walk a mic to you, so I'm going to ask you to come up to me over here on my right-hand side.
And stand up.
Stand up, go over here.
And make your question short.
Go ahead, sir. Say your name. Any questions? Be brief.
Callan, how much of the woke culture in the U.S. is directly attributable to infiltration and influence by the CCP?
I read Chinese documents from the government, CCP 2016 and after that. They interfered with our elections. A professor, his video was taken down. Professor said, we could not fix Trump. But now we have our friends on the top of the US government. And they know our country is weak in terms of racial conflict and racial, history, slavery, and the civil rights movement. And they use that to infiltrate and to attack Americans and to, I don't know, I don't have evidence how they funded the money, like through the war, but I was just told in Utah, in Salt Lake City, when they had the BLM riots, remember BLM founders said, we are trained Marxists. And I like read books. And there were people speaking Mandarin Chinese in Salt Lake City. And Confucius Institute infiltrated into our country for past 15 years. And some are still exist. I don't know where they are. But we need to be careful. That's the Chinese government-funded organization to infiltrate into Western countries. So be awake, but not walk. Yeah. Okay.
Your name and brief question.
Hi, my name's Kim. I was just wondering, I know there's no simple solution to reverse this process, but it seems like the ideological subversion of this country is almost absolute. And just in brief terms, what do you think a good start would be to try to reverse that process for not just this generation, but continuing generations?
Well, I will encourage you to educate. Now you are awake, but you have to wake up others. And I keep saying, remember, our fellow citizens, our Democrat neighbors are not our enemies. You don't know. Our enemies are hiding behind things. There's a small percentage. And they want to put the chains on our necks. You cannot breathe. And they want to track you. And they want to give you digital currencies like China's social credit system. So they will track you 24/7. So we have to be united. If one of you just go out, convince 10 people, and they go out, convince 10 people. I mean, I'm very loud on social media, but I have to sometimes bite my tongue because I'm being shadow banned. My post cannot reach out to all the people follow me. So we have to figure out effectively. Then start with local. You should live in New Hampshire, you have a small town. Go talk to your neighbors. Do not hesitate just because they have a birdie sign in their backyard. I actually persuaded Birdie Center supporters in colleges, come to Liberty Side after they heard my stories. 2 weeks later, they said, really changed my mind. I thought about it for 2 weeks, did more research. So one person can make difference. So believe yourself. You can do it. And especially lots of young people, come to New Hampshire. And your peers are confused. They are brainwashed. You need to get involved with them and be there when they wake up, when they have questions like Red Guards. They did not end well in China. They were thrown to countryside for 10 years. But we need to be here. Keep your family close. Keep your friends close. Doesn't matter how disgusting you are with them, how crazy you think they are. They need you. I guarantee you they need you someday when they start asking questions.
Hi, my name is Roxana, and So my name is Roxana, and I currently live in Germany. So it's not very U.S. specific, but it's even worse in Germany, I would say. So yeah, it might sound a bit desperate, but what is your strategy in the way you communicate to people? And the reason why I ask this is I feel that a lot of people get offended even when you're just trying to speak rationally to them. They think that reason is kind of offensive. So how do you deal with situations like that? Because I find myself in that.
Well, I'm lucky because I have personal stories to tell. I think the most effective way to persuade people is not rational analysis, charts, and be very, very scientific at the beginning. At the beginning, you need to win their trust. How to win their trust is by being sympathetic. And I feel your pain, remember? Bill Clinton famous is I feel your pain. And so I tell my stories, and the worst comes, you just ask them questions. Don't lecture them. People will turn their ears off. They don't trust you, they walk away. Young people like me because I tell personal stories. I'm not partisan. I don't use some leader's name. I don't use some, like all the high abstract economists and stuff like that. Tell stories, give examples. It's easy for me, and because I have a personal story to tell, I grab their hearts first because people always cry when I tell my stories, and they're connected with you emotionally. Then they start like me, they trust me, and they start to ask me questions. And I can offer my solutions. That's the best way. But I'm just one person. I need a lot more immigrants. I need a lot of you to think about smart way to get people closer to you. Remember, if we are 98% people united, the communists, globalists, or whatever those people are, they cannot do anything. They cannot do much. But because we are asleep, we fight each other, identity politics, and you walk away from social media, from other media, because you just depressed, you don't want to do anything. It's not time to give up. If you give up, you think they will give up? No. They'll be very happy you gave up. They just run you over, just lie down. We cannot do that. If I don't do that in this country, I'm already threatened by CCP. They're trying to discredit my campaign. They call me China spy. They're trying to, scare me on social media and attack me and tell me you're nothing, you're a traitor. I ignore them. They're not relevant. So you focus on your goal. You focus on your fellow citizens, your family, your friends, whoever you can persuade over, and you master your own fear. If you cannot speak up right now because your job, your career, then you do other smart way. Your time will come. But you have to be totally prepared. You have to be totally awake. And as I said, our state motto is live free or die, right? So people always ask me, are you afraid, Lily? I say, well, I guess I am. But so what am I going to do about this country if we lose to communists? They're going to kill me. They're going to throw me on the bus anyway. They're going to march into your house and take away your property and take away your business and freeze your bank account and put something in your body you don't like and take your children, make them to be brainwashed. What can you do about it? You don't lose everything anyway. You might just fight now and educate people now. Like you're young, you're from Germany. I feel sorry about what's going on in the world right now. Canada, Australia, I feel so sad about that. But it's not time, to give up. It is time to get activated. Thank you. Yes.
I'm Tom, and my question is, on the subject of the Cultural Revolution, the famine, Chinese Revolution itself, what are some books you would recommend people read?
Of course, the famous little red scarf girl made me cry. When I read that book, it's like, she's older than me. She suffered even more than I did. my suffering compared with her probably is a light case. And also, if you like to read and watch, there's 9 commentaries, documentary on the China's Communist Party. 9 documentaries of CCP. It's on YouTube in English and Chinese both. They also have a book from the Epoch Times. And I watched the entire documentary, 1 hour each. You can break down for 9 days. It's very educational. It helped me because I never learned China history inside of China. I have to learn China history outside of the country. Hi, Jeffrey. Hi, my friend. How are you?
Fine. My recollection is that the lockdowns began in China.
Yes.
In the middle of January.
In
20,
Wuhan.
Wuhan,
Yeah.
2020. So I guess I would just like to hear your brief reflections on your reaction to watching the lockdowns in the name of virus control in Wuhan. Did it surprise you? And then also, how did you feel when you sensed that the same model of virus control was coming to the West, first in Italy and then eventually into the US, and your emotional sense and intellectual sense of what that meant to see this model, go from one place to the other, and whether and to what extent you thought this was genuinely a CCP sort of operation.
Well, don't spread misinformation now. I was talking about Wuhan lab leak and Hong Kong got crushed during pandemic and national security post. Oh, I was spreading misinformation. I was watching Wuhan virus very closely. I was speaker of this China Democracy Conference in Los Angeles, February of 2020. We were even talking about Wuhan virus and what is their purpose. I was not surprised at all when you talk about 13 million people got locked down in Wuhan, but by the time they shut down Wuhan, guess what? They laid out 5 million people left for Chinese New Year celebrations all over the world. They covered up for at least 6 weeks. From the first case, the Dr. Li later who died, he exposed the truth. Guess what? Nothing shocked me in China. Naturally, they will cover up the truth. All leaders are appointed. They don't want the top leader to know, oh, we have a virus here. How do you do your job? Cover up, cover up. And finally, when it gets to Beijing, you have to have a lot more work, a lot more papers, a lot more scientists come out and to inform the top leaders. By that time, it's too late. And World Health Organization was with China to delay, to call that a pandemic. I went to Wuhan and only saw the places CCP wanted the WHO to see. But so nothing CCP do surprised me. I know true color of them. I will call them out. What shocked me most is Western democracy countries. Okay, I gave you that. You were scared, you were confused. 2 weeks flat the curve. Okay, famous word. Then 2 years later, it's like it was so shocking how deeply CCP infiltrated into Western free world. The media, legacy media, ABC, CBS, they're repeating China's numbers, case numbers, and death numbers. I don't buy any of those numbers. They're propaganda numbers. So why do our media use their numbers? Why our government, especially now, they don't go after China? They don't call out China. And they're still continue doing business relying on China for lots of supplies. And you know what? All the tests lots of PPE stuff, that what continue to buy to use, made in China. A virus come out from China, and they caused so much damages, and they took down Hong Kong. They're threatening Taiwan. They're supporting Russia. And we're buying from China. We're going to buy more oil from Russia. We're going to buy other stuff from China. But then we want to help Ukraine. The free world does not make sense. What is really going on? That's why our people need to know the truth. How much this stuff is propaganda. I had one talk about propaganda machine of China. United Work Front Department. They are well funded. They recruit talents in this country and in other countries. There are people infiltrated in all those Western countries. So I guess I'm the inconvenient minority in this country. And then I speak the truth to the powers. And today I had an interview with local TV. I will offer my professional business service called China expert witness to serve my country now. White House, Congress people, please call me if you want to talk about how we are going to stop China, how are we going to effectively stop China-Russia alliance. Call me. Well, I don't know if anybody's going to call me or not. But I'm ready to serve my country, and I'm ready to die for liberty. And I hope everybody will feel the same. Thank you.